Father Vogel again with another chapter from St. Francis de Sales' Introduction to the Devout Life. We are working in part 1. We've now reached chapter 3. And this chapter, St. Francis is going to consider that this life of devotion is suitable for every kind of life situation that someone may have, or whatever occupation, but of course is going to be customized in a sense for each person's state in life. He begins by drawing an image from creation, that when God created the plants of the earth, He created them each according to their kind. And so too, he says, as Christians, we are the living plants of His church, and we are to produce the fruits of devotion according to each of our kinds, our abilities, our occupations. Some might say, well, but that kind of devotion that we see, like for example, that of the monk, spending all of his time in prayer, or the religious, the priests, normal people can't do that. I've got to work out in the field, or I have to take care of my family. How can I live a life of devotion? Well, Francis says that, he uses another analogy. He uses that of the bee, which, as it draws nectar from the flower, it does so without harming the flower. And so in the same way, he says, when devotion is practiced in its proper way in every vocation, not only does it not harm that vocation, but it's going to abundantly enrich it. And so, he says, devotion can make the care of the family peaceful, the love of the husband and the wife more sincere, the service of the ruler more loyal, and every sort of occupation and more pleasant and more lovable. He says that it's an error, or really a heresy, to try to exclude the devout life from, say, the soldier's regiment, or the workman's shop, or the court of rulers, or the home of the married. That in every single place, a life of holiness can be lived. Devotion should be allowed. Of course, he says that it's going to look different. He says for himself as a bishop, he cannot live the life of a monk. The life of the monk, which kind of is separated from the world, he can't do that as a bishop. He has many worldly duties, people that he must take care of. So the same way, for example, the mother in the home, if she feels that her devotion is just to spend all her day in prayer and she neglects her children, that is not her true and proper devotion for her specific vocation. So he says that the devout life for each occupation is going to look unique. It's going to be, in a sense, structured for that person's particular vocation, and it's going to support and make that vocation flourish all the more. And he gives examples of holy people, saints from the Old Testament, New Testament, church history, that are examples of saints that they themselves were not priests or religious, but yet they lived a life of holiness in the midst of their regular life. So he goes to the Old Testament, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, David, Job, Tobias, Sarah, Rebecca, Judith. New Testament, St. Anne, St. Martha, into the history of the saints, Monica and Cornelius and Sebastian, Constantine, Helen, Louis. All of these had to grow in holiness in their particular way. They were not priests nor religious, but yet they lived a devout life. So in the same way, this is for anyone. In fact, I have a book that's titled Secular Saints. There are many saints of the church who were not priests or religious. So it just goes to show us that, yes, anyone and everyone is called to this life. He says, St. Francis, that no matter where we are, we can and we should seek a life of perfection.